Kaushal Patel, luxury realtor in America's finest city. Your dream home in paradise is waiting. Buying your piece of paradise with Kaushal. Presented on IQ Podcast at Attorney King Studios. Sponsored by Oscar Gastelum, president of Mortgage Hub Incorporated. MortgageHub.loans. Now, Kaushal Patel.
Hope you are having a fantastic day, fantastic week. I'm Kaushal Patel with Windermere Homes and Estates. Welcome to my podcast, Buying Your Piece of Paradise with Kaushal. You know, one of the hot topics in real estate right now has to be the future of 1031 exchanges. Part of President Biden's economic plan, it basically would eliminate that tax break for investors. As many of you know, 1031 exchanges allow investors to defer capital gains. So critics say that this tax loophole, which has been around for about 100 years, it's strayed away from its original purpose. From the president's side of things, the White House has come out with a proposal that would basically, in tax revenue, make up $20 billion over the next 10 years. So that is why they want to eliminate 1031 exchanges. Adam Nikoshawa, the vice president of Exchange Resources, he has accommodated hundreds of 1031 exchanges, helped investors over the years really diversify their portfolio and make a lot of money for them, which is great. But Adam joins us right now to educate us, to fill us in. And thank you so much, Adam. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
So this isn't the first time a president has, and just feel free to get close to the mic. This isn't the first time a president has tried to do away with 1031 exchanges, correct?
Correct. It's definitely something that gets brought up almost every election cycle, and it's obviously seen as a place to generate income for those who want to tax the taxpayers to pay more, and so they see that as a source of revenue without realizing the broader spectrum of the impact.
So a lot of people, you know, the critics say it's that they see that figure of 20 billion over 10 years, but really in the long run, if 1031 exchanges were eliminated, it would really hurt the economy. And explain to us how.
Exactly. So 1031 exchanges, they basically help investors keep deferring those taxes so they can reinvest back into the economy. And so what happens is when you get rid of the 1031 exchange, there's a potential lock-in effect where people will not be transacting that real estate nearly as often. So when you think about all the people that are employed in America based off that transaction alone, that's far more than $20 billion. And so you see that there's a broader economic impact to just that short-term tax revenue that they could generate.
How come the White House doesn't see that? How come President Biden doesn't see that part of it, that this would be a huge economic blow?
I think it's just a matter of education and helping those in the legislature understand the impact, because if they themselves have never done a 1031 exchange, perhaps they just don't really see the impact themselves.
And walk us through, for those who aren't familiar with what a 1031 exchange is, can you walk us through the process?
Of course. So a 1031 exchange essentially is a way for investors to defer the payment of capital gains tax as long as they are exchanging like-kind investment property for like-kind investment property of equal or greater value. So really, it's those investors are deferring all of those taxes into new investments, which are employing more people and essentially helping them continue to grow their wealth over time. And one statistic that I think, you know, when people say this is a tax loophole, you know, it's been part of the tax code since 1921, and it's got 100 years of history. It's had changes over the years, but overall, I think what everyone has understood is that, and this is proven, that over 80% of investors eventually pay the tax. So they're not deferring until they die in most situations. People are eventually paying the taxes. So when you look at the short-sightedness of raising this tax revenue, they don't understand that eventually most of that tax revenue will be paid. It's just letting the investor use it in the meantime to employ people and to continue growing.
And this would really eliminate the opportunity for the younger generations to build wealth through real estate. I mean, that's another proponent. And has that been looked at?
Absolutely. We have literally story after story of my clients is they start with one or two investment properties and they end up with 30 or 40. And it's a very common scenario. And I don't think that I do think if they get rid of the 1031 exchange, the opportunity will no longer be there for future generations.
I mean, that's really tough for those, it doesn't level the playing field because for generations, for decades, you've had people who've been able to build wealth through 1031 exchanges. And now for millennials, that option is gone if President Biden, if this plan goes through.
Exactly. Or it could be capped, which would have also negative economic.
And like, let's talk about long run, and share some figures with us. I mean, in the long run, if 1031 exchanges are eliminated, what does that mean for our economy, and how job losses, and how much of a blow that would be for our economy, and other things that maybe really haven't been thought about in this process of that short gain, which is a 20 billion over 10 years.
Right. So when you look at our overall GDP, the 1031 exchange can generate almost $40 billion to our GDP every year. And so you see a lot of money moving forward and paying people and employing people in America. So you have title officers, escrow officers, lenders, real estate agents. You have us, 1031 exchange accommodators. You have everyone that's involved in a 1031 or any real estate investment sale. That's inspectors. That's everything that's involved in the overall process. All those people basically benefit from the 1031 exchange. And so when you think about just the sort of a rainfall effect of stopping that from being part of our economy, it's going to be very impactful.
And why did 1031s initially start? And interestingly enough, 100 years ago, like this year, correct?
Correct. Yes. This is actually the 100th year. And the 1031 exchange started as a way to help farmers and a way to help those in America that could not afford to pay the taxes to keep their businesses going and growing, for them to continue that investment. And so without the 1031 exchange, there would have been very negative consequences to America today.
Right. So over the years, it's proven itself. And 100 years is a pretty good history. So is there a way that that it could still, survive and not be eliminated? Is there a compromise that could be made, or it just doesn't make sense if 1031s are compromised in any way? Because like you mentioned, that one of the bargaining chips may be that maybe do part, instead of doing away with them completely, put a cap on them. Would
Right.
that be beneficial at all?
I mean, I guess something is better than nothing, but I think that especially the commercial real estate market, if they put the proposed cap of $500,000 on a 1031 exchange, that would pretty much eliminate most commercial 1031 exchanges, as well as anything larger than, a certain number of units. So that would be pretty impactful as well. And so we're not really sure what's going to happen. It's all speculation, but it's definitely on the table.
And when are we expected to get some sort of answer as to what's going to happen, if they're going to be eliminated, if there's going to be a cap on there? Any idea from the legislature or lobbyist? Anything you're hearing?
We're just trying to play it by ear. We're not really sure what's going to happen. And as the package is negotiated, we're not sure if it's going to end up staying in there, being taken out or altered in some way. So we don't want to speculate too much on what exactly is going to happen, but we just want to educate all of our clients and let them know that it's possible they may not have the option in the future.
And another thing that President Biden is considering, the administration is considering, is making this retroactive. And how would that work?
I'm not exactly sure. I've been wondering that myself as far as how retroactive would work. I don't know if that means as soon as the law is passed, that any 1031 exchange, basically up until then, would be the only ones allowed, and then anything at that date. Because a lot of times when laws are passed, they're not effective until January 1st of the following year. So this would mean that it could end up being effective immediately. So it just depends.
And what are lobbyists doing, pro 1031? Obviously the lobbyists in Washington, what are they doing to get kind of the message out and to educate people who may not really understand the long-term effects of eliminating 1031 exchanges?
It's just contacting your leaders in your area and just letting them know that this is an important part of our economy, and to help them understand that it's not just a small part of America that uses this. There's a lot of small businesses and a lot of mom and pop investors that need this to be an option for them, because this may be their only retirement money, their only retirement income, and they really need this to stay around to help them through retirement and through just the last part of their years.
Are there any stories? I'm sure you've heard countless stories of, investors who've called you panicking.
Definitely a lot of concern. I would say our numbers are the highest they've been since the financial crisis. So I will say that that is driven by both market conditions, rates, as well as just people worried that the 1031 exchange may not be around. And we have a lot of investors that they only own one or two properties, and they have all their cash is parked in there. And their only way for them to reinvest that to create some cash flow for retirement is through the 1031 exchange. They may not have 401ks and other retirement incomes that a lot of other people do have. And so they need this process to happen for them.
So let's say, and let's hope this is not the case if you're listening, Biden administration, because I do believe, I'm definitely a proponent of 1031 exchanges. If they were eliminated, what could we see in the real estate market in the next few months before, let's say if it went into effect January 1st, what would we experience?
I think it depends if there are other concessions or other things that they bring in to factor in, but you'll see a lot of panic at first and people trying to get it done ASAP. I know we are already, we're fully staffed and working very hard to do the level of 1031s we're doing now, but I could see it getting definitely higher at that point. So I'm not really sure exactly what would happen, but it would definitely be a change.
Would there be a lot more properties on the market because they would have to sell them off? So could we see a lot more inventory?
You might see some more inventory. People that, if you're not happy with the property you're currently holding, the 1031 exchange is a way for you to basically go into a property that you are comfortable holding for the long term. We have a lot of investors that maybe they have crazy tenants or it's in an area they don't like. And if the 1031 exchange is to be eliminated, they may go, hey, I'm going to sell this property now. I'm not going to wait because I don't want to be stuck with this property in this area for the next however many years. So they're going to take advantage of it immediately.
And again, if someone, is listening to this podcast and listening to Facebook Live, thank you so much. We appreciate it. It's great to be educated on different topics. What can they do to make sure that their voices are heard? And how can people get the word out? A lot of people aren't going to write a letter. They're not going to make the call. So is there a website they can go to? Is there something else they can do?
Yes, we will definitely be tagging the website that you can reach out to. You can just click on the take action button and you can reach out to basically all the authority that can help me with this decision. And that's, I think, the best we can do. And then we're already lobbying, trying to make as much of an impact as we can, just as an association of accommodators and people that see this daily.
And you said that, if you're not happy, obviously this is a time to maybe make a move, but you're not really saying that to get more business because you said you're seeing record numbers. Now give us some numbers since 2008, since I guess you've been involved or since you've seen an uptick in 1031 exchanges. This is the most that you've done?
This is the most we've done. I want to say it's 1.5 times, no, 2.5 times more than normal. So quite a few, like an average month for us, like this month, we're going to do almost 500 exchanges as a small accommodator business, which is a significant number of exchanges.
How many accommodators are there? Let's just say in California. Do you have a rough estimate?
I don't, because there are some small business attorneys that do 1031 exchanges, so I can't give you a rough number, but there's not a ton of us.
Okay, so your company has done 500 so far this year.
This month.
This month.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're doing a lot.
And is that in all of California, or 1031 exchanges are throughout the United States? So it's
exactly, but most of our investor base is here in California.
Okay. All right. And Adam, again, just what is your website? Just say it because this is Facebook Live. So, if you want to get it out, if people have questions or want to reach you.
Perfect. So you can actually go to exchangeresources.net. Pretty easy. There is a take action tab on there. So you don't have to go to the separate website I was talking about. You can go to our website and take action now, contact the people that we need to contact to get the word out for this. And if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, Adam's been great. I've known him for about 4 years now, and he's just really, really easy to work with and really knows his stuff. So again, give us the email address.
Exchangeresources.net.
Exchangeresources.net.
Call Koshal and she'll
or
point
call
you in
me.
the right direction.
Yes, I will make it happen. I will do the networking for you. Last question. What is your prediction as to what will happen?
It's been around for 100 years, so my prediction is it stays. But You didn't hear that from me. It does end up going away.
There's a lot weighing on if it does go away. And give us the numbers as we part, like give us the numbers again. You said $40 billion to our economy.
Of GDP, right? So it employs a lot of people. Over 500,000 jobs in America are based on the 1031 exchange alone. So it's pretty important.
Well, thank you so much, Adam Nikashawa, Vice President of Exchange Resources, for the education and the insight. And thank you so much for spending some time and getting educated on this topic, which is a hot topic. So, of course, we'll probably do a follow-up, hopefully in January,
Some good news,
with some
hopefully.
great news, letting everybody know that they're here to stay for another 100 years. Let's hope. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. I'm Kaushal Patel with Windermere Homes and Estates. Again, if you are looking to buy or sell a home, we'd love to make it a seamless experience. We have a whole host of team. I know people like Adam and, of course, Oscar Gastelum, who's not only the sponsor of this podcast, but also he is my mortgage expert. We have all sorts of experts in our back pockets. We'd love to help you out. If you need help, just give us a call, 858-244-3298. Again, that number is 858-244-3298. Have a blessed day. Happy 4th. Go America!